This is Altar of the Brew. Happy Monday, everybody. We're just back from Magic 30th.
And we had the best time.
It was the best weekend. It was just wonderful meeting everybody and being so welcome to the community, and everyone was so warm and gracious, and the games were just fantastic. We had such a good time.
I got to win a game of Magic with Channel Fireball. I cast Channel and then double Fireballed and then copied it with Lutri for a third Fireball.
Yeah, shout out to Alan from Mental Misplay. Your Conspiracy Cube is bananas, man. It was so much fun to see and watch people play games with it. I just really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, it was awesome. We had a great time. And the Philly, we talked about the food. Reading Terminal Market,
yeah, just corn dogs for me and Steve a lot. It was the best. And our buddy John, he experienced pretty much every store they had. But it was the most exciting weekend to see all the pros, watch Reed Duke win the Pro Tour for the first time.
That was
on the
awesome
30th anniversary. Reed Duke, one of my Magic heroes when I was younger. And man, it was just literally the best time I've had in a decade in Magic. And the community was just fantastic. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, it was great. So, on top of that, we wanted to bring something new. We got something from the Phyrexia command, the new All Will Be One Phyrexia Commander decks.
Yeah.
This is a secondary commander to Nayali.
Yeah, this is not the face commander of the box.
This is the backup commander.
But we think it's awesome, and we want to brew it, and we think it's going to be great.
This was another one our buddy picked out, was saying, hey, you should try this one. Shout out to Perry on this. So let's, you want to read this thing? Let's start this off.
I want to read it. So it is a 5 mana, 3 red-white. That's called Otharri Sun's Glory. Otharri. That's how we're going to go with it.
Otharri.
It is a legendary phoenix. That's a 3/3. It has flying, lifelink, and haste. My God, what a good keyword soup that is. It says, whenever it attacks, you get an experience counter. Then you create a 2/2 red rebel creature token that's tapped and attacking for each experience counter you have. We can get some rebel tokens, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to rebel. It also has this sweet added the graveyard ability. It says, for 2 a red and a white, you can tap an untapped rebel you control and just return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And that is at instant speed, so you can do it at the end of an opponent's turn before you get to untap again. With the flying, the lifelink, and the haste, can be very hard to kill you, and it makes tokens. So what Steve and I are talking about is we want to generate tokens. We want to double them. We want to make lots of them. But also, it's got those experience counters. We want to proliferate the heck out of this thing so we can just make one attack and make like 30 dudes. That are just annihilating your opponent.
And we can pump them up. We can get them bigger. We can really, just the fact that this thing doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you have a commander-centric strategy like this, that's just like, hey, I'm doing experience counters. My commander needs to attack. Those are big downsides.
Yes.
Right. Those are big downsides to a commander. Those are things that like can shy you away from it. And also, like, hey, starting out with a 5 mana commander out of the command zone, 5, then 7, then 9. Those are expensive recast points, versus like a 3, 5, 7, kind of potential to have to recast because you're so centric on the commander. So the fact that we can kind of skirt that cost, and we had some other plans on ways to do that, was definitely a big part of the design we were thinking for this deck.
It's very, Derevi-like in that you get to kind of cheat the commander tax.
Right.
There are some situations that you'll lose all your rebels and it'll be stuck in your graveyard, so we have some ways to deal with that we're going to talk about. And then some great ways to deal from it getting exiled because you can't cast it from exile. So we're going to go over all that stuff tonight. It's going to be a blast. I'm super pumped to get into this.
All right. So I think we wanted to start off with the cards that are going to be specifically good in this deck, this version of the deck. Not just generically good Boros cards or generically good red cards or white cards. So I think anytime you're in tokens...
Anytime.
Anointed Processions.
If you have white in your deck, Anointed Procession is a slam dunk. This card just doubles all your token creation. And it's not just your creature tokens. A lot of people think it's just creatures. This also doubles your treasures from the Smothering Tithe here. It'll double any other tokens you make. Sometimes I'm really greedy and I'll generous gift one of my own lands. If you have 2 token doublers out, all of a sudden you have 4 3/3s, and if they're getting pumped as tokens with like, I don't know, one of the token pumpers that gives them vigilance, all of a sudden you're attacking with 4/4/4 vigilance. You got a lot of power here, is all I'm saying. It's very, very useful. And with that token doubler of anointed procession, I think there's a new one
Yep.
that came out in New Phyrexia. I don't remember what it's called. Do you have an idea?
Mole something, Moldrock, Moldrick, Mole something.
Moldrak we'll go with.
Mole.
Mole with a U maybe. Moldrock. And all right, we're gonna have to go look up this one. I think. Why don't you?
Glory Dominus.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, Glory Dominus. That works. Yeah, Mondrak.
Mondrak.
And it's actually like in my opinion, it might be an even better Anointed Procession in that it's a legendary creature. It costs 4, the same exact cost as Anointed Procession. This one's 3 and a white, where the commander is 2 white, so it's a little bit more challenging. Or the legendary creature. It is a 4/4 horror, and it just says, if you were to make tokens, double them. So if you have 2 token doublers out there, you're making 4 times as many. And then it has this really neat activated ability where you can pay 1 and white Phyrexian, which means you can pay 2 life instead of white mana. And sacrifice 2 other artifacts and or creatures, and you make it indestructible. And that's a forever indestructible. So 1 life, 4 life, 1 mana, 2 other artifacts, like treasures even. Just bananas to keep this thing on the field. That and Anointed Procession going, you're going to attack, even with 1 experience counter, you make 4 attacking rebels. So very, very strong. With token strategies, I also like to play one of my pet cards. I put a little comma in here, but it's called Goblin Bombardment. So, Goblin Bombardment, for those who don't know, 1 in a red enchantment, sack a creature, and it just deals 1 damage to a creature or player. And do you want to talk about why this is good with our commander?
Generating all these tokens, we can have them held up constantly as a threat. The fact that you can just have this out there, you can use it, you can not use it. You can, you want a board wipe? It's going to cost you a lot, because I'm going to take down everything with me.
Yep.
Right? Or, hey, big swing, somebody's, real close to the edge, sack some stuff, put them over the edge, get them out of the game.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is you get to kind of hold the table hostage with it.
Yeah.
You get to be the one who dictates how the game moves forward. And it really lets you make deals if you're in a really political group, but it also lets you just feel powerful. Like, okay, you tap, you make your tokens, and now all of a sudden you have all this free removal on the board. The reason I especially like this in the deck, and this is one of the things I had talked about, is that your commander may try to get exiled, or somebody may attempt to exile it with, say, Journey to Nowhere, or Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile. And what this card lets you do is actually sacrifice it to put it in your graveyard. Because if they do manage to exile it, you will move to command zone and have to pay that tax again. So not only do you get that free damage off of it, but you also get to just kind of stick it in your graveyard, which is just awesome. With that, I think maybe some more sack outlets for tokens.
Yeah.
Sack outlets are very, very good in this. Which ones do you like?
We're
Are we going Ashnod's Altar Deep? I mean, I think it's great. It casts all of your 2-mana rocks, helps you take your tokens and turn them into mana dorks, basically.
Sure.
I think it's sweet. And with that, I think Phyrexian Altar just the same. They're kind of, they're one and the same.
Sure.
Even though they make colors versus colored mana. Just
help
fantastic
help
cards.
us in a pinch, get our commander back too.
Yep. It's just fantastic. Tap your rebel for the cost. Can you tap it and then sack it for the cost? I wonder if you can do that. Probably not. Nah, you need 1 out there. In any event, you're still good though. See what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So let's see. So there's tokens. Any other things that work really well with tokens that you want to add in here? I'll check my little list. What do you think?
We talked about Shared Animosity.
Shared Animosity. Yeah, that card's bananas. Shared Animosity is a 3-mana red enchantment. What it's going to do for you is, it says whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets 1/1 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. So all of your rebels are going to make all the other rebels bigger.
It is an attack trigger, so we will not get it on the ones that we're attacking with.
Correct. It's not static.
So this has to be on a attack where we already have rebels to attack with. But that's going to be super easy.
And speaking of the fact that it's a trigger, I personally think that this specific deck does really well with the artifact that actually doubles your triggers.
Strionic Resonator.
Strionic Resonator. The reason it's slightly better for this deck, in my opinion, than it would be in many other decks is that, like, things like Goblin Bombardment, Shared Animosity, where you get that trigger, you can now double it, and they all get 2/0, which is even stronger. But even Otharri, you get to use Strionic Resonator to basically proliferate your experience counter.
Right, because you're going to
you'll get double counters and double tokens, which is just...
That's awesome.
It's just fantastic.
I think that's a lot stronger in this deck than playing something like Contagion Engine or Contagion Clasp.
Yeah, you don't want to have to continually I mean, you're doing the same thing. You're activating once a turn, but like this
Right,
just has
4 mana.
a very intense, intended purpose is what I was going for. Let's see here. What do we got for tokeny stuff? Let's see here.
You're the one putting the list together when we're doing this. You got it on your hand over there.
I got a lot of stuff for tokens, a lot of stuff for combat. How about some payoffs for doing so many tokens? So, Steve and I really like Perforos in this deck. Now, normally when I do like tokeny strategies, I don't actually play Perforos because the 4 mana cost on it is pretty hefty.
Yeah.
And I don't usually go wide enough for the activated ability of 2 and a red creatures you control get 1/0 to be relevant. But in this deck, it feels like you're going to be making a lot of tokens. So that go wide ability and then being able to just pump with your extra mana is fantastic.
Sure. You can even do it at instant speed before damage, so you can go through the blockers phase and before damage. You got a couple of ones that are just going to eat it to someone's blockers, that are not trading up. Maybe they're trading down, but you just got to throw the team in anyway. Oh, you're going to block with your 5/5 against my 2/2. Cool. I'm going to sack that to my altar, generate 2 mana, and I'm going to pump the rest of the guys.
Yeah, it's just, and it lets you, again, like in that hold your opponents hostage kind of game, like you don't have to activate it before combat, so you kind of put them in the squeeze of like, how are you even going to block? Because I have, 6 mana laying around. I could put my whole team for all you know.
Yeah.
Also, indestructible enchantment, which is really neat. With Perforos, I really like Impact Tremors as well. It's just kind of like the half Perforos without a pump. It's a 2 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, it dings your opponents.
You could go further than that. I don't think we need to. They've also printed us Witty Roastmaster, which we could put in the considering board, especially if you're looking for a budget Perforos option.
Even a budget Impact, like you're going to build this deck super budgety. Impact Tremors is $4 at common, which is kind of expensive, but it shows you like the value of that card, the reason because it's so powerful.
So this is our Witty Roastmaster. It's a mini Perforos. It's 1 damage, but it's on a creature. It's you can get it out pretty easily. So I think I'll put that one in the considering.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's fine in considering board. And enchantments tend to stick around a lot better. Also, like, one of the things about playing a lot of enchantments is people are like, oh, but what about enchantment hate? Well, the thing is because you have so many, sometimes you'll put them in the squeeze of having to choose which one to blow up. That's because it's just so much they have to deal with.
Sure. Perforos is indestructible too.
And he's indestructible.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get rid of. Not a lot of exile enchantment effects out there.
And then you got to be careful about turning him into a creature because he could be swords or path, just like Mondrak could. Let's see here. So. That is much of the we have some really good for tokens specifically. We have some really good anthems like Intangible Virtue, and this Intangible Virtue has a really neat synergy with our commander too. It kind of. So Intangible Virtue is a 1/1 enchantment. Creature tokens you control have 1/1 and vigilance. Now, you're not going to get that vigilance when Otharri's trigger happens and they come into play tapped and attacking. But from now on, you'll be able to attack with them vigilant as a 3/3, which is even stronger. And then you'll be able to use them to tap to activate to bring Otharri back from the graveyard.
Yeah.
So just having that extra vigilance and that huge bump for only 2 mana. And 1/1 to me is a huge bump. When you have 8 creatures on the board, you have 8 power on the board, and all of a sudden you play this, and now you have 12 power. That's 50% more power for 2 mana. Is a lot, and that's just 4 creatures. So I really dig that one. And there's a really good one they put in Baldur's Gate. Do you remember the name of it?
The background one?
The background, yeah.
I don't know the background one. It's a white background that gives your commander creatures you control have tokens get +2/+2.
Like leadership. Inspiring Leader, there it is. I knew the word leader was there. So Inspiring Leader, it just says if you control your commander, creature tokens you control have 2/2. So now they're 4/4 rebels. They just get bigger and stronger. This thing is so easy to put out there, and most people don't want to blow it up because it only relies on you having your commander, so they rather focus their removal on your commander. And even then, removing our commander isn't really all that much of a downside because we don't care if it goes to the big graveyard because we don't get taxed on it. So as long as it's not getting exiled, we're good.
Yeah, and also sometimes I'm less high on these cards because of the fact that I can get blown out by my commander. But I think the fact that we have this cheat it back out ability is really strong. I think the deck that I've played historically that had the same effect was Multani.
Oh, yeah.
Multani, the Avatar one, has the 1 and a green take Multani from your graveyard back to your hand. You know, things like that to cheat on people interacting with it is so powerful. So I think I get those vibes when I look at this commander.
Yeah.
It makes me excited.
This is a flying, life-linking, hasting little baby Multani.
But it's also interesting because we're not paid off. This isn't like we're getting tokens for how big it is. We're not trying to throw some swords on this thing or anything. But there was one sword that we had in mind.
There is one sword we had in mind. Do you remember the name of it?
It's the proliferating one, and I don't remember which one that one is. I
can
can never remember all the
Sword
swords.
of Truth and Justice. That sounds so Borosy, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds very...
What a Borosy sounding sword. Sword of Truth and Justice is not the anti-Boros sword, but this is actually the anti-Azorius sword, which is a very Boros thing.
Sure.
3 mana equipment. Equips for 2, like every sword. They're all built the same way. It is 2/2 in pro white and blue, but that's not the actual strength of this card, even though that's sweet. Actually, the pro white is pretty spectacular with Commander not being exiled. However, it does say that when you deal combat damage to a player, very easy to do with a Flying Haster, put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control and then proliferate. Now, while we're not really focusing hard on the 1/1 counter aspect, that proliferate is just, it is ooey good. Because the proliferate lets us take our experience counters and up them. It's very, very hard to remove experience counters from a player. So anytime you get those experience counters up in your commander attacks, you're just getting so much more value out of the attack, getting all these bodies coming down. I wish there was a way to give them, like, is there global death touch for red-white attacking? Because that would be just bonkers. But
no global death touch.
But still very, very good. Even though we're not focusing on counters and we're still in the tokeny section here, this is just one of my little favorite, token cards, and I think it fits in a lot of mono white decks. It's a sweet budget card. It's a sweet casual, powerful casual.
How is this 60 cents?
Because it's been printed into the ground, and it's awesome. People want it. So it's a 3 and a white enchantment called Feldar Retreat. It has landfall, so when land enters, you can choose to either make a 2/2 white cat beast with a cat beast token, or you can put a 1/1 counter on every creature you control, and they gain vigilance. So that's just another great vigilant opportunity to keep your tokens up that you already had made to be able to protect your commander from the graveyard, or bring your commander back from the graveyard. This card is really fantastic, especially if you get a couple of those token generators out. You don't even have to work hard. You just play lands, and you just keep doing stuff. Now with this, do you want to put, like, Cathkar's Crusade in here? Do you think it's worth it? Seems powerful, but also is really annoying to track.
It is super annoying to track.
Anybody who's played Cathar's Crusade, it's a 5-mana enchantment. It says when a creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on all your creatures. Now, that is a very powerful enchantment that often is a combo piece now in a lot of casual decks. But it's also like, you don't get to use just like 2 or 3 Rebel tokens. You'll have to have, with Dice-On, you'll have to have like 15 of them for all the 1/1 counters you'll be putting on. I definitely think it's worth putting in the considering. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth playing if you want to play it. Me and Steve just don't like tracking it.
It can get annoying.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put it in there for now.
Sure.
We'll pull it out later.
So then we talked about like all the. I don't think there's any other real good. What are those words?
Synergies that we're looking for here, like really big synergies that are specific to this deck.
No, I meant like token related anthems. Like
Okay.
just no more real big. Like there's a lot of anthems. Feldar Retreat can be an anthem. Cathar's Crusade. We actually have a rock in here that's an anthem too. A Heraldic Banner. It says when it enters, you just choose a color, and creatures you control that chosen color get 1/0. I don't really like 3-mana rocks myself, but it does enter untapped, makes any color mana, and is an anthem for your team. I can't believe the card's $135. It's so good.
Chosen color mana.
Yep. Oh,
So not any color.
Well, you get to choose which color. It's very similar to the what is that card in here?
I mean, we're going red.
Yeah, Needle Verge Pathway. You're gonna pick red. Maybe not for Needle Verge, but definitely for the Heraldic Banner because Otharri's red and the tokens it makes are red.
For sure.
So fantastic. Also Rebel tokens. It's just fun. All right, so tokens. You want to do proliferation next? Maybe?
Yeah, let's go through. We are getting experience counters, and just like some of everyone's favorite experience counter commanders, like Azuri Claw of Progress, Marin Clan of Neltoth, some of the big experience counter ones that you see out there in the wild, proliferation is extremely powerful in this, and I think the white one's one of the better ones. I mean, I think Thrumming Bird's really great in blue, but Grateful Apparition. I mean, a flyer that when it gets through proliferates. I mean, when are you not going to have an open flyer attack?
I also want to point out that in comparison to the Thrumming Bird from Blue, this one actually can deal damage to a Planeswalker and you still get the proliferate, where I don't think Thrumming Bird will allow you to. So it is a little bit better, and it's a Spirit, which fits with Spirit synergies, not for this deck, but for other decks. It is a really neat card, and just being a 1/1 flyer that basically says every time you connect, you're just going to have way more experience counters, and if you have any 1/1 counters, they're just going to be bigger and bigger creatures. It's really, really powerful in this kind of strategy.
Sure.
Let's see here. For proliferation, this is not exactly a proliferate one, but is relevant to the counters. And this is from another one from Baldur's Gate. Quickly becoming one of my more favorite sets they've put out. I feel like this set was really unexplored. Like a lot of people in my groups that I played in, even people I talked to this last weekend, feel like maybe we didn't talk about this set enough when it came out. Not a big fan of the artwork with the D&D style card, but
I'll switch it up for you.
Yeah. It just says if you put one or more counters on a creature or planeswalker you control or on yourself, you're going to put that many plus one. So every time you get that counter, you're going to get two of those counters, the experience counters. It also just doubles it gives you basically, if you put one on everything, you get two on everything. So
sure,
it just seems great. You're probably not going to attack with it very much, but it's just a fine little creature to stick out there, very much like your.
And it's a 3-mana 3/3. It's hard in scales because
Yeah, effectively.
But better.
It runs the Peering Toothy. It's very much like
sure.
Kira's, yeah. So that's another one I had there. Let's see here. Sorry, a little slow. We talked about this one as like an anthem.
Was there any other proliferation that we had?
Yeah, there was some spells that we wanted to play. We think that even playing some spells is definitely worth it. So I was looking about this one. I don't know if this one's strong enough, but it's just like a one-time use. 11 cents is nice for me. It's going to be Unbounded Potential. I like it because it's an instant too, but you can choose to either put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. It's kind of but you can also just choose to proliferate. And then you can pay an extra 3 and a white, and then just do both those things if you want. So 2 1/1 counters on each creature, your commander, and something else. Now your commander is a 5-power flying haste lifelinker. That's really sweet.
I like that it's a combat trick for us. Because you're going to be able to do it after the attack trigger has happened when your team's out.
Yeah.
And then you will have hit one more experience counter having attacked. So you can do it in combat before damage, proliferate, and put counters on something. That could be relevant. Trade up with a block.
Yeah, somebody's like, okay, I'm going to put my 3 toughness creature against your 2/2 rebel. Well, all of a sudden you just lost your really... Oh, nice job, Thrasio. I'll see you later.
If this were a sorcery, it'd be...
Yeah, I wouldn't be very high on it. Because sorceries are just a little less good in this particular deck. Staff of Completion. Another new... I don't know how you feel about it. It's a little on the slower side, but it's repeatable, which is one of the things I like about it. It's not even that bad a price. So Staff of Completion is a 3-mana artifact. It harkens back to Staff of Domination, for those of you who know it.
Destroy one of your own permanents, add mana, proliferate, draw cards, untap it. Pay life the whole time. Seems fine.
Yep. Paying life is great when your commander has lifelink too.
Yeah, totally fine with that.
And then the cool thing that I really like about this one with the commander, and it's a little... Steve will probably tell you, I'm really big on like things that work out perfectly. I'm really into symmetry. Our commander gains you 3 life when he hits because he's lifelink, or it hits its lifelinker, and wouldn't you know, the staff costs 3 life to proliferate. So you basically are just tapping it to proliferate effectively before you combat, and then you get that 3 life immediately back. But also just being able to like dump a bunch of mana into draw a card, or to pay some life into draw a card is just very useful utility artifact in this deck.
Sure.
Sword of Truth and Justice. I have no other proliferating. Oh, one other thing. It's here in the lands. Just to talk about it real quick. Karn's Bastion. It's a land that you tap for, tap, and proliferate.
Yep.
Just easy peasy. It's a 2-color deck, so playing 1 or 2 colorless lands really not going to be that much harm to you.
Okay. We want to move on to something else?
Yeah.
Commander centric?
Yeah, totally. We have some ways to protect the commander. Mom, stepmom, the new stepmom. So,
Bug Mom.
Bug Mom. Yeah, we'll call it Bug Mom. We'll come up with a really sweet name for it. So this is affectionately nicknamed by the Magic community as Mom, Mother of Runes. Tap to give a creature protection from the color of your choice on a turn. This card it's very powerful. We'll just call it very powerful.
Right? Get through on a block, stop removal, everything we want.
It doesn't protect against colorless things like Stepmom here does, though. So Giver of Runes, called it Stepmom. I like that you call it that. I don't know if the rest of the community does, but it's the best. And Giver Runes can't target itself where Mother of Runes can. But it says another target creature you control gains protection from colorless or from the color of your choice on a turn. It's not nothing. So we'll take it. And then what's the new one called? Skrelv. Skrelv. There it is. Skrelv Defector Might is a 1-mana legendary artifact creature Phyrexian. Look how many words they put on that thing.
it's a Phyrexian mana and tap it. Hexproof is really what we care about.
Yeah, another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof. But that Toxic 1, even though we're not building a Toxic deck, because we're baking so much proliferation in, you could potentially kill somebody. Like, just use Mother Runes to give this protection, hit somebody, give them 1 counter, and then you just proliferate it up till they die. Like, it is...
It's a stretch, but it's possible.
It's a stretch. It's one of those, like, Q plans.
Yeah.
You know, we'll call it, like, a D plan. As far as other protections go, let's see here.
I don't think we were that high on playing many more than that.
Yeah, there's not much.
There's so many good ones nowadays. They've given us so many of these cheap white instant protection spells that I like. Blacksmith Skill, God's Willing. They just gave us the new one, Lauren's Escape or something like that. Too, yeah. So there's so many of those. If you want to play those, totally fine with that.
Jam in there. I'm big on trying to get stuff that's repeatable, which is why we kind of like the Mother of Runes Stepmom kind of thing. It's really good to be able to continually use that ability and kind of put people in the squeeze. I had a really fun game this last weekend at the 30th with my what I call 1/1 tribal deck. It's Bess. And I had like 5 different ways to protect my board at once.
I had so much removal, and it just didn't matter. You were holding up Mom. You had a All Seed of Light's bounty that you could sacrifice to protect your stuff. And then he kept e-witnessing back at Heroic Intervention. It's like, I can't do anything
I
about
also
this.
had an angel that protected all my humans, gave them all hexproof, gave me hexproof.
You did a Shalai, right?
No, it's
you did
Shalai.
at one point.
What's the other one? It's not. Oh, I should put Shalai in there. Goodness, why is it Shalai in there? What's the?
The Azorius, the Selesnya.
Selvala.
No,
right?
not Selvala.
I can't remember.
The Selesnya Angel.
Yeah, Selesnya Angel.
That gives hexproof.
And it's just really good in the deck. We'll talk about that one deck another time.
But yeah, no getting through. But once again, Giver of Runes is $8.
Yeah.
You know, Blacksmith Skill's like 3 cents. So.
Yeah.
You could always do.
If you're looking at budget, also Mom used to be very expensive. Now she's down to like $1.50. I would pick her up if you want, because like I picked up a couple copies just because it's so inexpensive.
And the Might's $5.
It'll go down though as more packs get opened, I think.
Sure.
As far as protecting the commander, some of the things that Steve and I talked about were getting it out of the graveyard. If you don't have any rebels, say your board gets Wrath and you don't have a rebel to return it with, this is kind of another way to protect your commander. Be able to cheat on that tax. We had talked about Soul Guide Lantern. I think it's a hyphen in it, right?
Yeah, there it is.
18 cents. Thank you, reprints. Soul Guide Lantern, 1-mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, exile target card from a graveyard. You can also just tap it to exile each opponent's graveyard, or you can pay 1 and tap and sack it to draw a card. So the neat thing about this is you can just play it after your board's been wrathed, if you need to. Whoops, excuse me. And just get your commander back.
Yep.
Into the command zone so you can recast it.
And then you were talking about Relic of Progenitus being another. There's so many of these effects. You want Tormod's Crypt.
Yep.
I think we also put a land in our mana base. We did the same thing with the Scavenging Grounds, which nukes everybody's yards. I think it's totally reasonable.
Yeah, they're great cards. Just a quick shout out about Relic of Progenitus. The nice thing about it is target player removes a card from their graveyard. So you can target yourself, pick the commander every single time. The great thing about this one is it's repeatable. You do it over and over again. And if somebody tries to blow it up, you can pay 1, sack it. Everybody removes all their graveyards and you draw a card. You know, so it's just got that great utility. It's probably one of the reasons it's a little bit more expensive.
And then we talked about other way to do this protection-wise would be to play other creatures that count as rebels, but are also kind of work with our game plan anyway. So one of them we came up with immediately was Mirror Entity, being something we could anthem out our creatures to make really powerful for an attack. It's 27 cents, thank goodness. And it's a changeling, so it's a rebel.
So it automatically counts as a rebel. You can just sandbag it too if you're worried about a Wrath or if you know one's coming. And you can just cast it, you can tap it, pay 4 mana, bring your commander back. And get ready to start attacking again, which is nice. It also has this great activated ability. You want to talk about this great activated ability?
Yeah, it's just a big, base power and toughness X. You can just overrun people in white, which is totally fine.
It also gives all your creatures all creature types. So even like your moms and stuff like that, like if you're going for like you have Mondrek out here, it is a creature. You're probably not going to attack with it much if it's not indestructible. You'll probably leave it out there as a blocker. But all of a sudden now it's a rebel, and you're attacking with it too. Or you can tap it for returning Otharri from your graveyard, which is just a nice little additional benefit that Mirror Entity gives you. You can pay, I think you can pay 0 into this, just turn on your creatures. Well, you kill them all. That would work. You can pay 1 for this, turn them into it if you needed to. 0 would be great though. Let's see what else we got. Lion Sash. I don't know if this one let you do it from your own graveyard.
Let's check it out.
Let's take a look. So Lion Sash.
This is the white scavenger ooze.
Yep. Yeah, white scavenging ooze, but it's also an equipment. It just says pay a white, exile a card from a target card from a graveyard. If it was a permanent, you put a 1/1 counter on Lion Sash, and you can equip it to a creature. It gets a 1/1 for each counter on it. Otherwise, it's just how big you put the counters on it.
And it plays with our 1/1 counter stuff. Yep. It plays.
You
with
can proliferate
stuff.
It's really fantastic.
Reasonable.
Also, just like I said, protects the commander from getting locked in the graveyard. That's one of the real downsides of Otharri, is it could potentially get locked in the graveyard. We don't want that. So we have lots of ways of getting it out.
We talked about some of the other changelings. Do you want to play any of them? We talked about the just universal automaton. I think that one wasn't really good enough.
It's a 1-mana 1/1. I don't think it's right to play it because it just doesn't really play with most of our synergies, and it doesn't really give us any benefit. Now
we were on this one, Bloodline Pretender for sure. 3-mana 2/2 changeling. Choose a creature type when it enters.
Rebel.
And it's going to be Rebel. And then whenever anything else comes in that's a rebel, we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on this. So this can get big, and it counts. Seems reasonable. Do we want to do the big boy?
I think I'm cool with the red one. Let's do it.
Let's do Torium Mauler, who is he's like the best Hydra and the best dragon sometimes, and he's an insect, and
it looks like a big old goofy ox that I love to death, or bull that I love to death. Like I said, this card is very similar to Bloodline Pretender, but this says whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a counter on it. So it's trigger can miss, so be careful. But again, works with our proliferation. It's still a rebel for all intents and purposes that we need it for. These cards, especially with the mom stepmom plan, these cards are really good at stealing games and like just nerfing planeswalker abilities, because basically you can just give a protection and just lethal somebody. They never see it coming because it's so big and so strong. It's just really good.
Yeah.
You know?
I've often seen just an incidental 2020 Torium Mauler.
Yeah,
because people are just like, I don't want to remove that card. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw a 1/1 under it.
Yeah, might be a good consideration for playing like a Rogue's Passage too. These big boys here, Bloodline and Torium Mauler, even just getting in our commander.
It could be.
It's not great, but I just think that like people will cast 20 spells in a game because they don't care. They can just chump block this thing with a 1/1. But all of a sudden now you drop that random Rogue's Passage, it's like good game.
Yep.
Might be. I'll put it in the considering board for now. Not the finest on rate, but definitely a card I've killed plenty of people with. It's sneaky good out of nowhere, so I definitely think it's worth considering.
Yeah, just leave it in there.
Yeah, let's leave it in there.
We're only at 34 lands. So
as far as a couple more protections, do you want Boots, Greaves in this? Do you think those are reasonable?
I don't know if I really love them because we already have haste.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather save those slots.
I'm okay saving those slots, but I definitely think it's worth talking about that. Like, Steve and I don't really think that Boots and Greaves fit in this deck because of the recursion of the commander. We're not really looking to protect too many single creatures, and haste isn't really relevant, so we're not going to play like Hammer, Perforos, Fervor. We don't need the Boots or the Greaves because incidentally our commander protects itself.
Yeah.
So I think that's totally reasonable. Yeah. So as far as protection, I'm okay moving on to... you want to talk about this one before we get moving?
That was another way we were talking about being able to really get your team to be powerful. Is our commander has lifelink, so we were thinking maybe Archangel of Tithes, which is
wrong Angel of Thune. Sorry, I typed the wrong one in. Sorry about that, folks. Got it. I got all excited. That one's got a sweet name. Beautiful artwork, isn't that gorgeous?
Archangel of Thune is the one where we gain life. We're putting counters on our team. So because we have the lifelink, I don't think we necessarily. I think you could play, a Soul Sister in here. Soul's Attendant, Soul's Warden wouldn't be terrible in the deck.
No, that'd be fine.
That'd be fine to play. depending on your meta too. Maybe you have like a lot of attacky or a lot of token decks you're going up against. Maybe you got a token. We have a pretty token heavy meta.
Yeah,
in
group.
our world.
Yeah.
So I could see just being like, okay, I'm just gonna instantly put this in here. You're playing a proactive attacking deck. There's gonna be crackback coming at you. Yeah. So I think that wouldn't be terrible to have that little pump in there. I think this is another cool way to just make your team even more relevant.
Yeah, I mean, and the cool thing about Otharri is like it's just an army in a can, so you don't really have to like go wide. Like, oh no, they have to wrath your board. Well, I mean, you could play one Archangel of Thune with Otharri on the field. And even if they wrath, you're only basically trading a wrath for an Archangel of Thune because you'll be able to get Otharri back. And then like it's just amazing to have these two on. They're both flying life linkers, so they're very evasive. They're going to keep your life total up. In which case, your things entering tapped is less relevant.
Sure.
So. Okay, moving on to maybe card draw or extra combats. Both those are pretty cool.
Yeah, well, do you want to, in the same vein of the Archangel thing, we were talking about the lifelink, and we're talking about not dying on the crackback. We thought this is a perfectly fine deck for Ghostly Prison, right?
Oh, yeah. As far as personal protection, not just, I was like, 6 cents. Wow, it got really cheap now. $2, still good though. Normally, this is not a kind of card that I like to play in my decks. I really need a reason to play it. You know, it's not just like an auto-include in white for me like it is for many people. And there's nothing wrong with that if you like this card. Great, play it. It's awesome. I really like this new artwork on it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me like Lord of the Rings or Return of the King.
Oh, yeah.
It's really harkens back to that. But, it just says it's a 3-mana enchantment, 2 and a white. Creatures can't attack you unless they pay 2 each for each creature that's attacking you. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to have a tapped out battlefield a lot when you're attacking with Otharri. So this just says, hey, you're not going to be able to be attacked back by such a big army unless they invest tons of mana. And you're already taxing them with the Smothering Tithe, which is nice. So you're kind of putting them in a little bit of a squeeze if you have both these cards in the field.
Sure.
Great option there. Do you want to go on to extra combats?
Yeah, that was the other thing we thought was really powerful effect here. It does everything we want in terms of putting more stuff on the battlefield and giving us more counters is repeatable extra combat steps. So we're a little less high on the spell ones, but something like a combat celebrant. There's the new background, once again, Baldur's Gate red creature that does it as well.
It's called Karlak. That one's much cheaper too.
Yep. And then I think the other one that you could play, but I think is maybe a little pricey in the mana value was the Morag, right? The Minotaur one.
Oh yeah, Morag there. Is that his name? Morag? Yeah, Morag.
Morag.
Fury of Akum. This is a landfall, take extra turns, or extra combats. It like banks them up. So if you like played a land and then fetched to play another land, you bank 2 extra combats. We don't really like this one as much just because the mana cost is so high on it.
And you have to hit a land.
And you have to have a land drop. So like you're not gonna be able to play it on 6 and get that ability. You have to play it like on 7 with a land. So it's just less good, but definitely worth considering. If you own one and you want to play it, play it. It's an awesome card.
And then the other one was Aurelia, right?
Yeah, this is no joke card here. Aurelia the War Leader, yeah, the expensive one. A little more expensive for a reason, but Aurelia is a 6 mana. We just talked about how we didn't like 6 mana, but this is a Flying Vigilance Haste 3/4 Angel. And it says whenever it attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control, and after this phase is an additional combat phase. And when Steve and I were talking about this deck in the car, I had talked about how you don't have to re-attack with all of the rebels you just made. And Steve was saying, oh, but they will have summoning sickness, so you won't be able to tap them for the ability. But actually, looking at Otharri, you don't need an unsick rebel to do this. This is the Seaton rule, where you can just tap an untapped creature you control, being a rebel.
Right,
So
it'll do the Otharri
it-
protection
Yeah.
thing on the second combat, but we won't get to attack with the tokens we made on the first combat.
Correct. Yeah, we cannot attack with them because they will not have haste. However, you'll now have all of your tokens untapped, and you'll be able to protect yourself. So it's also quite good. This card is a slam dunk in the deck. As Mitch from Commander's Quarters. Commander's Quarters? Is that what he's from? Yeah. He would say this is a golden pig, maybe.
Yeah, that would...
This is quite the combo with Otharri. And then also getting extra combats, you're just triggering this again. So it's kind of like it's proliferating for you and doubling your army. And it's just a really powerful card. And I super dig it.
All right.
This was another protection card we might have missed. Right there.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely one of... If I've got a white deck and I'm attacking, I want me a reconnaissance. This card reads very different than it works.
Yeah.
So this is a 1 mana enchantment, 0, remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. So when you read this, you're like, oh, well, I can just kind of pull my stuff out when I want to protect it. But if you ever played against this card or played with this card, turns out the Magic rules work that after combat, before the end of combat, there is still a phase. So you can deal your damage and then remove your attacking creatures from combat. So basically
And
this
attack.
says pseudo-vigilance, but it also says, hey, anytime I want, I'm going to save a token. So if you're, you're coming in tapped and attacking rebels are going to eat it to something that's bigger on their battlefield, you just pull them back out of combat and save them. Huge all-star in my Adeline deck, and here it will work just the same.
Yeah, bonkers in my Alicia deck as well, being a creature-heavy attacking deck. Just protects literally every attacker you have from dying to combat damage. And it's also, like, looking at the card, it's not very intuitive because it has in parentheses that creature neither deals nor receives combat damage this turn. But unfortunately, that's the old way to write a card. The new way basically says that after damage, you can still activate it. So, and it also protects Otharri in your graveyard by tapping your rebels again. It's just,
I find a lot of newer players, especially, have never heard of this card.
yeah, it's an older card from Exodus, and it's so cool. I know it's a bit more expensive at like $10 for like budget players or newer players, but I definitely think if you like to attack with decks, this is a perfect one to add to your collection. This is a slam dunk. I don't buy too many expensive cards. I like to proxy a lot of things. This is a card I immediately invested in to make sure I had in my collection because you need at least one.
I think you can get foreign language ones for cheaper.
Yeah.
You can get one that's got a little damage on it, but still sleeve playable. Was there any? I think the other one that we talked about was aggravated assault, because it's on board and we can technically go infinite combats with it if we got the right set of altars and got to the right experience combat.
It's a pretty radical art. I'm going to switch the printing up here.
Just so it's more
Just so I can read it a little bit easier. Sure, Explorers of Ixalan. Looks great. Okay. So Aggravated Assault is a... whoop, I lost it there. There it is. 2 in a red for an enchantment. Doesn't do anything. Just doesn't do anything.
5
Or
mana, extra combat.
you pay 5 mana, extra combat. Untaps all your creatures. Again, your rebels will not have haste, so you're not going to be able to re-attack with them. But Otharri will be able to attack again, and you'll be able to get even more rebels.
Yeah.
And like I said, Steve was saying, with the right altars, you can basically just go infinite.
Right, because you sack the ones that can attack to make more.
Yeah, it's just bonkers. This card, everyone who's played with this card and against it knows what it does. It's very powerful in this strategy. Let's see here, and maybe to get those things, you want to do that card draw maybe.
We do have a lot of enchantments in the deck. We're at 12 now, so if you want to play the powerful one, you can play the Enlightened Tutor in here. You can play an Idyllic Tutor at $5. You want to go even cheaper than that, you could go with a Moon-Blessed Cleric, which is the new one that...
I didn't even know this card. Let's check it out. Moon-Blessed Cleric. Let's see. $1.13. That sounds like my kind of game. Let's check it out. Moon-Blessed Cleric is 2 and a white, and it says when it enters the battlefield, search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, and put it on top of your library. So it's a creature that... wow, Human Elf Cleric. What a creature. They're making some exciting creature types these days. Totally neat card, totally serviceable. You could even play... I'm going to put another one here in the considering board.
And you can blink that one.
And you can blink that one.
Not in this deck. But if you're looking at it for other decks.
Maybe consider that for your... not that I think this one's good, but if you have it and you want to play it because you like it, it's a double Idyllic Tutor. It's called Plea for Guidance. It is 5 and a white sorcery. But what this does is it just goes get 2 enchantments and you put them in your hand. That can be very, very strong when you get 2 that work really well together, or you get Impact Tremors and Goblin Bombardment to really put them in the squeeze of which one do they have to blow up when you're going wide. So, like I said, not going to play in our decks. A little costly in the mana for us, but definitely totally serviceable card. I put Enlightened Tutor in here as a serviceable card. It's a lot cheaper now.
Yeah, I forget. I was saying it like it's
I got mine for
one.
like $11 before these prices started going back up again. But yeah, I mean, Enlightened Tutor, just 1 mana instant, search an artifact or enchantment out of your deck, put it on top of your library. We're gonna take it out though because we're trying to keep it on a relatively casual power level.
I mean, this is an attacking deck.
Yeah.
There are, technically, Commander, the right altars, and the Aggravated Assault is our current infinite combat step.
Yeah.
I think that's completely reasonable. But otherwise, this is just a fair attacking deck.
It's not doing anything particularly degenerate. We're just saying cast this creature, attack with a bunch of times.
So,
Win the game.
you want to go to card draw?
Yeah, let's go to card draw. This is one that's growing on me in a huge way. We got to come up with some kind of nickname for both Takazi's Welcome and Welcoming Vampire.
The welcome
the
draw.
Welcome Committee, you know. So
The welcome
Takazi's
draw.
Welcome is a 2 and a white enchantment. Says when one or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enter the battlefield and control, draw a card. It only triggers once a turn. So what that's going to do is just basically say when you attack, you're going to make a rebel at least one, and then you'll be able to draw a card off of it. Once per turn, there are some probably situations where you might get one another turn, but it's not likely with this deck. We're not really building it that way.
You get your thing generous gifted or turned into a beast.
Yeah.
Within, you get a card.
Yeah, the only other way that I can think of is this Castle Embrith here. Castle Ardenvale. It makes a human token for 4 mana and tap it. So with that, like if you just had a pile of mana laying around and stuff, Takazi's Welcome, you could pay basically 5 mana for in this to make a 1/1 human, which fits with your token strategy, and then also draw a card.
Sure.
Additionally, with that, you can always hold up like a Fabled Passage here. We do have Fabled Passage in Arid Base and the land base. You can hold those up with your Felidar Retreat to make a Cat Beast on somebody else's turn, because if you don't need it now, you can always make it on the next guy's turn and then just draw a card.
All right.
Totally seems reasonable.
Put the welcoming vampire in there.
Yeah, Welcoming Vampire, same exact thing, except it's a 2/3 flyer.
I'm not as big on Mentor of the Meek anymore. Paying mana and thing. White's just gotten better than that,
Yeah,
which is great.
I just think repeatable card draw is what you want. And White is getting really good at this now. I was talking about this with Steve, that White is getting these like draw on everybody's turn, but draw when like creatures enter. And if you stack just a couple of these things together, you'll be churning through your deck. You're going to get your removal real fast. You're going to get your ramp. You're going to get your big time bombs that you want to play. It's just going to be so streamlined for you.
Rumor Gatherer.
Yeah, Rumor Gatherer was my next one. This card, actually, I like this one even better than I like Welcoming Vampire and Takazia's Welcome.
In this deck, even more so.
This deck's really good, yeah.
Because you're going to get, you're going to get your trigger to scry, then draw, then scry. That's awesome, right? If we get to 3, we get 4. The more we go, we're going to be able to dig deeper and deeper and deeper into our deck with our draws and our scries. Get exactly what we need to keep the train running. Keep the party going.
3 mana, 2/1 Elf Wizard. The reason this one's extra strong is it doesn't stop making things. It doesn't stop doing work for you. So basically, every time a creature enters the battlefield in your control with this thing, you're going to scry 1. And if the second time it happens, you're going to draw a card. And every other creature after that is going to scry you 1. Scrying 10, 15, 20 times in a game with this card is just going to get you to all your best cards when you need them. Just going to churn through your deck faster.
I had Alibu out in my General Ferris Rockrick deck.
Yeah,
I was scrying like 7, 8 deep. It was
smushed me with Alibu. I was playing a creature deck.
Yeah, Alibu, in that deck is strong. The other one we talked about was Benny Brax, right?
Yeah, Benny's really, really solid. I tried really hard to make a commander deck out of this that like really abused his ability, but it really seems like it's a good in the 99 card.
Sure.
It's a 4 mana, 3 and white for a 3/2 legendary elf druid. It has Convoke, which means your creatures can help you tap it. Now your rebels can only tap help cast it. Sorry, yeah. Your rebels can tap for the colorless mana, but they can't tap for the white. But any white creature can tap for the white pip in it, so it could basically be free depending on your board state. However, even just paying 1-2 mana for this card is just really good rate. 3/2, and it says at the beginning of each end step, if you create a token this turn, draw a card. Very similar to the Welcoming Committee.
Sure. And then you wanted the Idol of Oblivion.
I do like Idol of Oblivion.
We are always big players of this card. It is going to make the cut. 2 mana. If you've made a token, tap it, draw a card. You can also turn it into a big Eldrazi. Nice to have. You're almost never going to do it, but nice to have.
I have only activated this ability once and promptly lost the game afterward because I only did it because I was going to lose the game. But my dream is to have the doubling tokens out there with another token doubler, activate this thing and make 4 10/10 Eldrazi's. Because that's just hilarious, right? Like, who's come back from that? Do you like, what I was saying that, I lost my train of thought, sorry.
Another white one that I would be fine with in this deck would be my political figure, Mangara.
Oh, yes, Mangara. Yeah, new Mangara is, I don't see it as much as I'd like to. It's a really strong card. But, yeah, Mangara the Diplomat is a lifelink 2/4 for 3 and a white, legendary human cleric. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you or a planeswalker you control, draw a card. I don't think we're going to put the planeswalkers in this, so if they're attacking you, draw a card. And then it says whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. I've watched Steve draw like 5 cards a cycle off this thing, no problem.
Yep.
Just because that's what the game dictated. So, totally serviceable. 2/4 lifelink. Works with your little lifelink synergy of Archangel and just keeps you in a game longer.
Sure. He's got a big old butt. He's a 2/4.
But pity doesn't fit in Grenzo. Butt dungeon. Let's see here. That's most of what I wanted to cover before we started thinking deeper. Blade Historian. No combat trick.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So this is a Winota All-Star. $1 Blade Historian. It's super easy to cast too, which is one of the reasons I like it. It's 4 mana, 2/3 human cleric. Says attacking creatures you control have double strike. So it just gives double strike to all of your team that's attacking. The Otharri will get double strike, and all of the rebels will have double strike as well because they're attacking.
And then I think the other one that we talked about was the commander from this precon is Nayali. I think it might be Ney. There it is. Nayali Sun's Vanguard gives all your tokens double strike, and when your tokens attack, exile the top card of your library during, and then you can play it. So you're going to get rewarded for the tokens, and you're going to get rewarded for attacking with impulse draw.
Yeah, it's just everything is good.
Right. So
yeah. I only had, I think, 1 more card in my list, or 2 more cards in my list. I had Drum Bellower.
Drum Bellower is strong.
It's just neat with the, again, this kind of more falls into the protection category for me when I'm listing all my card types out, sections out. Drum Bellower is a 3 mana, 2 in a white flying spirit. It just says untap all creatures you control during each other player's untap step. And actually, with that, I think we should probably put Springleaf Drum in here. Might be good. I don't know. But, yeah, probably not just because of Drum Bellower, though.
Right. We don't want to have to attack a rebel and then
yeah, you're right.
Tap a rebel.
This last weekend, I actually got to really do a lot of work with this card. We had one of the best games with Scoop from the Beamtown Bullies and Bufftown Bullies, Bufftown Bullies. Thanks, Scoop, for that. That was awesome. I was playing Steve's Emil deck, and the game was just degenerated down, so we were all just doing nothing. But I had creatures, and I was attacking, and I got to untap them so they couldn't attack me back. That's all you need sometimes. Protects you as a player, protects your commander with the ability it has. Let's see here. We're close to it. We're only 5 cards short of 100. I don't think there's I think there's probably a couple MDFCs we likely play in here.
I would definitely. You've got removal in here. You got Chaos Warp, Generous Gift, Path, Swords. We have the Unbound Potential as our instant as well. I don't think we have any sorcery speed removal. No, we only got 1 sorcery in the deck so far with the Tutor. I would like to play Kabira Takedown in this deck.
Love Kabira Takedown. It's so good in this deck too. Oh my goodness.
So that's our MDFC that does damage equal to the number of creatures we control. Instant speed. I have blown out so many people with this card.
This is such a good
Love
card.
this card in a token strategy and deck that goes wide. Do we want to play the protection one? Do you want to play Security Shelter?
Sure, yeah. I think these MDFCs have got to be one of the best things they've ever made for Commander.
Target creature you control gains protection from color for the end of turn for 1 and a white. Do you want to play the white overrun one?
I like it. A lot of people don't play it, but whatever. It's gonna be a land, 9 out of 10 times. But that 10th time, it's an overrun effect, basically.
What is it? It's Mali.
Oh, Malakir.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a Malakir card. That's the black one.
It's
I got it right here. Yeah, let me bring it up.
You sure?
Sure.
No, it's not that.
Okay.
Which one is it? What else we got?
Keep thinking about that while I look for this.
Rocks. We got Arcane Signet.
McKindy Stampede.
McKindy.
Sorry.
It is
steal a computer from you. McKindy Stampede.
It is Maki, or I said Mali. McKindy.
This one is a sorcery on its front side. But just creatures you control get 2/2. You can just level somebody with this if they're not expecting your team to double in power, basically. On backside, it's a white land, so it's perfect for this deck. I can't imagine that you're ever going to be sad to have these MDFCs. You know,
So that puts us at
we
37.
can even chop a land or two down.
37 with the MDFCs. I'm okay with that as probably our cost. We got a 5-cost commander. We got for rock count. We did Arcane Signet, we did Boros Signet, Everflowing Chalice, Felwar Stone, Fractured Power Stone, a Heraldic Banner, a Liquid Metal Torque, Mind Stone, Prismatic Lens, Soul Ring, and then the Talisman, Boros Talisman. We're not on any fast man in this deck. That's not kind of where we are.
No.
But that puts us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's plenty of rocks.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And then you get incidental mana ramp from your altars as well.
That's
and then,
a lot.
And,
we
and
won't
then,
even be able to go down.
we didn't even talk about the fact that like Smothering Tithe is another ramp type card in this deck as well. So
what's our curve looking like? You want to go take a look at that?
Take a look at the curve. Oh, looks like a commander curve. Really heavy at the 2-3, a little lower on the 4. In fact, actually, it was a pretty smooth looking curve. 1.75 with lands and 2.7 without is pretty slim. Actually.
So we're 55% white, 25%, 20% red. So we are leaning a little bit more white, which works with our MDFCs being all 3 white ones. Do you want to play any of the red ones? Do you want to play the? We didn't put an Eganjo in here, which is the white legendary land. The Channel land.
The Seed of the Empire, I think it is.
Yep.
And then the red one just makes dudes, right? But I mean, that could even just be fine. It's free, basically. So Ganjo just legendary land taps for white. Or you can pay 2 and a white, and then you can just deal 4 damage to an attacking or blocking creature. And it costs 1 less for each legendary creature you control. Get down to a white even. It's very strong. Do you like the Sokozan? It's not the best, but if it's like free, you might as well play it because like you have token doublers and you have all these like things that reward you for having tokens.
It's just a mountain.
Yeah. I didn't spell it right. Sokozan. Sekazan. I can't remember the name of this thing. I'll look it up.
So the other one would be Shatter Skull.
Yes. Yeah, Shatter Skull Smashing. You like these ones? I like. I'm not that high on Shatter Skull Smashing, and the Amarius Call. They're both really great cards. Right, Amarius Call is the white one. Great cards, totally worth playing if you're trying to optimize your list. They are good. I'm not going to say they're not. I just find that I end up paying 3 life for a basic land or like a single colored mana way more than I want to, and I find that the green one is the one that I use the most. But it is still a very powerful effect, very powerful card.
Shatter Skull is the one we can divide up damage, pay X into it, or that's in the back. You can bolt yourself to have it come on tap. So I'll move it over to considering. I'm with that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're very, very powerful cards. They're totally worth playing if it calls to you. I don't really think that one calls to me, but you could definitely stick it.
We need one more card, and this is the list.
Soken. I had every combination but that. Crucible Defiance, less than $3. It's one of the ones that I really do enjoy. It just taps for red. Pay 3 in a red, discard to make 2 1/1. Colorless spirit creature tokens. Colorless actually also not nothing because I got blown out by swords this weekend when I was playing the 1/1 deck. And if I had just a couple of 1/1s that were colorless, I would have had no problem winning that game. So just free basically.
So that gets us at 36 lands, 39 with MDFCs. We got 10 rocks. We probably cut another land. You got another card you want to fit in here anywhere?
I have one other card that I was maybe considering. It's more of a pet card for fun.
Okay.
I really enjoy Mirage Mirror, like a lot in token decks, and I discovered this back in the good old Tristani days. That if you copy one of your token doublers before you're about to make a bunch of tokens, it only costs 2 mana. So effectively, it's very similar to Strionic Resonator in that you're paying to get a second version of that same effect.
Sure.
So I really dig it. It's a Mirage Mirror right here. 3-minute artifact. You can pay 2, and it becomes a copy of a target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land. This card is so strong at protecting itself because you can just copy a land, have somebody points a removal spell at it, and it's also you can do some shenanigans where you stack triggers, but I don't think this deck is really going to be doing that. But it is a really fun, unique card. It does kind of a unique ability for Commander too. Also, if they have something really sweet, like say somebody casts, I don't know, Baloney Ulamog that you don't like. Well, they didn't target this with it, they're foolish. You turn this into an Ulamog and you attack them for 10. Exile 20 cards from top of their library. I don't think that's a choice I would make, but Steve and I, we do, looks like we build our lands a little differently for the MDFCs. As I include them as a half land slot, and I tend to book up 1 or 2 lands. This looks like a fine land base slash maybe a little more heavy on the plains, a little less in the mountains, just because we're leaning so heavy into the white.
55% white.
Yeah,
but we're
more
at 61% mana production is white and red. We do want to be able to cast our red spells. I think what I would want to do real quick here is let's look at these. Let's look at these in a different view here. I want to kind of look at overall. If you look at our creatures here, you definitely are leaning white.
Very white on the creatures.
Very white on the creatures, and on our removal.
A lot of artifacts. The red doesn't have. Do we have any double red pips in our deck? Is there any double red? I mean, Aggravated Assault activates for double red.
I don't.
But just
besides in Aurelia.
Yeah, Aurelia is the only one. So like, we can definitely lean really heavy on the white side. Do we want to put like a Sun Titan or something like that in this deck, just as like a really great white playable to get back something key? It doesn't get back like any of our sweet enchantments, but it gets back some of our card draw spells, our protection spells, gets back some of our rebels that are changelings. I mean, it has some utility, but I don't know if it's what we want to be doing.
I'd be fine with it.
I think if we found a spot for it, like I could definitely think we could find a cut for it that's reasonable, even if it be a land to put us down to 37 with the MDFCs. You do play your MDFCs as lands often. I don't know what you think. Think it's good enough to put in here?
I think our curve is low enough that we would probably benefit from it.
You know, I like it. Just it's one of those classic white creatures that I really do enjoy playing in a casual deck. There's some goofy things you can do with it sometimes. Like we're not playing Commander Sphere in this, but it works really well with Commander Sphere, where you can like tap it for mana, sack it for like in combat, tap it, sack it for mana, bring it back with Sun Titan, draw another card. Like, it's really useful. I think this is a sweet deck, though. I'm super excited to try it out, I think. This looks like... Oh, can we put it up on the Commander for a second? This is one of the things I want to talk about. I rarely revel in how much I love an artwork for a Magic card. I'm usually pretty much like an old man codger. Like, I like my old cards, my goofy art, my comic booky style. I am in love with the artwork on this card, and I cannot wait to see it in foil in person, because it has got to be so cool looking in foil. And I think that while I don't tend to get a lot of foil cards in my collection, I think this is one that's definitely going to be hitting the list.
$2.19?
Yeah, 100%
for that full art foil version?
Oh, super sweet looking. But that's. I mean, I think this is we just got to make one cut. You want to just cut a land? Do you want to see if there's a card in here that seems kind of superfluous, or maybe like we had talked about, like Kathar's Crusade not being like as right, but it still seems really good.
I think with our curve, our curve is so low. I think being that, that 5-6 slot is totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good little brew.
Yeah. We did not do our normal thing of putting 130 cards in.
And then having to cut it down. Yeah, we refined the list up a little bit tonight, I think, and really had a good idea of where we wanted to go with this. And there's lots of routes you can take, too. You could play a whole bunch of Rebel cards if you wanted. You could put something like Maze of Ith in here to ensure that you'll always have that Rebel up, if you need it, that kind of thing.
That's a cool idea.
I definitely consider that. You'll put that in the considering board, maybe. I don't know if you want to hit, like, the rec to see if there's something like that we totally missed that's amazing.
Sure, let's take a quick peek.
No, I don't always use EDH rec for building decks. I sometimes use it when I'm like, I feel like there's something. Oh, like we didn't put Boros Charm in this, and we didn't put. There's that new one that makes a bunch of citizens that cost white X that also makes your team indestructible. So maybe those are some considerations. Maybe we give us some opportunity for some cuts.
Yeah, we need
like just being able to like protect your team for 2 minutes and speed is, Grand Crescendo. I really like this card. I play it in my 1/1 tribal deck, and it is very powerful. It's basically your white.
2 mana, your creatures are indestructible, or dump a bunch of mana and make a bunch of people.
And we have token synergies, which is also very good. So
Boros Charm, damage to a player or a planeswalker, which has that been errated to any target?
I think it's no, I don't. It won't be any target because it doesn't target creatures. But.
Okay. And then permanents gain indestructible, or target creature has double strike. Our commander's not a damage trigger; it's an attack trigger, which is better.
Yes, much better.
But the double strike doesn't play into it. But it is great protection to hold up. Do you want to take our sorcery speed MDFC one out now?
Yeah, let's drop the McKinney Stampede. I don't think we need this. We have a lot of different kind of Anthem effects.
We'll put that in the consideration.
Totally worth playing though. If you don't want to buy one of the more expensive cards, like definitely just jam it in there. It's McKinney Stampede. I've won several games off the back of that card just by going wide with a bunch of Genesis Chamber Mirror tokens. If you do untap all creatures you control after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. I don't actually think I'd want to do that, but I understand why it's very, very, very powerful.
And then what's the other one? War of Resistance?
Yes, this is probably the end combo here, right?
Bringing something back.
It must be really new. I don't even have it in my app here.
We got a equipment that gives you extra combat.
Yeah, I'm just not big on spending 9 mana for that. Like 5 to put it out there, and then 4 to equip it. And then
it's a Mirrodin, so it comes with a 2/2 Rebel.
Oh, that is actually pretty neat. Do you like that card enough to want to stick it in there? So you have a 4/4 Rebel for 5 mana. So 4/4 for 5 is not an awful rate. And if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap each attacking creature after this phase, additional combat phase. I mean, it's good. I'm not going to say it's not. I like this one here, the Glimmer Lens. My goodness. Whenever a equipped creature and at least one other creature attack, draw a card. I love drawing cards. And that one makes a Rebel too.
We like this better than Combat Celebrant?
I don't really like Combat Celebrant. It's kind of like just one of the cheapest ones, but it just dies in combat so easily. But like you basically use it to just on your win the game turn, basically.
Do you want to get rid of that one in favor of that 5 mana one?
Yeah, let's try that. And it's also more synergistic with our Rebels, you know? And it's called, what, Hex?
Oh, I got it copied right here.
Hexplate Wallbreaker. So many new cards come out. You got to learn them all. It's a lot of work.
So it's technically an equipment, right?
Yes, yeah, I think so. It should be a red equipment. Right there.
Ah, artifact.
Yep.
Not, yeah.
Oh, yeah, not an enchantment.
Not an aura. Okay.
Cool. I like this for Mirrodin. Do you like this Glimmer Lens? I mean, maybe it's just me.
It is another way to make a Rebel.
Yeah, and then also you could just potentially draw cards off of it.
I like that. Maybe that's better than like Mangara. Do we want to?
I mean, Mangara is a lot more mana, but you do tend to you don't have to do anything to draw cards with that one.
Okay.
I don't know. Pretty darn good.
Is this the reason to dump our Cathar's Crusade?
Yeah, I think so. Like we're gonna be putting a lot of power on the board. We're not gonna need to make that much more power, and we're not like comboing with it. I thought I saw one more on that page that looked really exciting too. This Norn's Choir Master, 5/4 flying first strike. Whenever a commander you control enters the battlefield or attacks, proliferate.
That seems pretty good.
Seems pretty darn good.
So there's some of the new Phyrexia stuff we haven't gotten to play with yet. Some new toys.
I haven't seen them in games, and there's some really cool new stuff out there. And it's a fairly inexpensive card. I'll probably pick one of these up this week. So, yeah, I like that a lot. I think the Lae'zel could probably come out. It's good for like the quote-unquote proliferation of the deck, but like it just gets sucked up in Wraths a lot easier, and it's just a 3/3. I don't know. What do you think?
I really like that one, man.
Yeah, I kind of really do like that one.
Like, I'd almost rather cut a Mom effect than that.
Right, so maybe cut Skrelv because it's only going to cost mana to do it.
Well, but you pay 2 life. You don't actually pay mana. It's for Phyrexian mana.
That's true. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color. What was the last one? Can't be blocked by creatures. Alright, so yeah. So Hexproof and can't be blocked by creatures. Basically protection.
Yeah.
I don't know, which one do you like better?
Maybe the Idyllic Tutor just goes.
Yeah, we don't need. We're gonna draw a lot of cards. You're right. We don't need to tutor anything up.
I think
you just,
when we build decks and we're trying to be more casual with them, we just tend to move tutors out and card draw in.
Yeah, that's pretty much a great way, by the way, to power down your decks. We got a friend who's got some very, very powerful. Hey, what's going on? Useless knowledge. Good to talk to you.
What's up?
Hey, welcome. We're nearing the end of the deck here, but
John there.
Still a lot going on. We got a buddy, John, who he built some very, very powerful.
Useless knowledge's name is also John.
A different John.
The one you met.
The one
John.
you met, the really big, tall guy we were hanging out with. Oh yeah, and he builds just unbelievably powerful casual decks, and he's trying to figure out how to power down some of them. We just recommend taking out your fast mana and taking out your tutors in favor of card draw. Still play good mana rocks and mana ramp and stuff, but don't play like all your 0-drop ones. Don't play all of like the crazy, big rituals just to get your things out faster. No Jeweled Lotus and stuff like that. It's a really easy way to power your decks down, make them a little bit slower, but give you a lot of ways to get to your cards. Also adds to the variance when you're just drawing cards instead of tutoring, which makes it a little fun at times when you're like, I gotta get this card and you gotta draw. I didn't get it, or got Boros Charm. Like it's really fun to do those kind of things in a casual environment. I'm really, really happy with this. This deck looks amazing. It's got 1 cut.
You want to see if there's anything else?
Yeah, let's take another peek here and see if there's anything else.
This phases out permanence with Convoke, which is good.
Definitely not you, John. Yeah, different John. Let's see, like the Flawless Maneuver. I don't really like it very much because it doesn't do anything else. It's a good card. Don't get me wrong.
Prava would be fine in this deck.
Yeah.
The Gold Knight Commander is strong. I play that in Adeline. That's a strong effect. This is the Roar of Resistance that they were talking about.
Yeah, I mean it's fine, but like our creatures come to play tapped and attacking, so those are really good when you're taking extra combats for sure. But outside of that, like we don't need that much of that effect, I don't think. I have almost only 1 tutor. It's my commander. Yeah, that's the casual way to do it. When your commander's the one tutoring, like
sure.
Nothing busted. Like, okay, on your end step, I'm gonna vamp tutor, go get my mana crypt, drop that. D tutor, go get my mana vault, up it, play dark ritual, play Peer Through Depths. Peer Through Depths? Is that what it was?
Peer Through the Abyss.
Peer Through the Abyss. I always get the name wrong. I do like Facebreaker, but I don't think we need it.
No.
We have a lot of ways of drawing cards, and like
same thing with Esper Sentinel.
Yeah.
Adriana is an attack trigger with the melee, so it's not as good. It's still good.
It's still great cards to play if you have them and you want to jam in your decks. It's just they don't really fit. And also at 5 mana, like you also have to kind of have a board and then play this and then hope you get a chance to attack with it. If I was your opponent, I would kill that thing on sight because you're not getting it back, and it's just a lot of work.
Cronus would be fine. Give your creatures a menace and have them, not be dealt damage. That'd be fine. We looked into Rebels like Linsivy and stuff, and we were like, there's just nothing I want to play.
All Rebels do is get other Rebels. It just doesn't really, none of them seem all that powerful.
Yes, this is the Boros Phoenix Otharri from the pre-con we decided to brew up here.
Yeah, we really do like it. It's
so
just such a
so we're attacking, we're making 2/2 Rebels, and we're proliferating, and then we're bringing it back from the graveyard if it dies.
Cheating commander attacks. It's just cheating. It's all it is. It's the easiest thing. It's so good.
So we got protection. We got extra combats. We got double strike. We've got interaction. We've got ramp.
Yeah,
I think this is
pretty
everything
much here.
we wanted.
Yeah. I want to mention one thing about this particular Boros deck that I like. A lot of Boros combat decks now are just like kind of Voltron, because it's kind of where like Wizards and card design has really moved into making Boros like the equipment strategy in Commander. But I like that they gave us this Commander and gave us an opportunity to do something different for attacking in Boros. Not too many Boros go wide strategies that I've played that have been very successful, because you just get blown out super hard. But the fact that this Commander just continually lets you drop an army on the field, and the experience counters do stay pretty much forever. There's a couple cards in Magic that remove them. They aren't really that played though. It's just really nice that they gave us something new and refreshing, and I'm very excited that we got to build it.
John's asking if we have the Hexplate Wallbreaker, I think he's talking about, for infinite combo. So this one does an extra combat. I think you might have been talking about this. The other one, the Breath of Fury. Is that what you're talking about? There is definitely a way to go infinite.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to go infinite.
We figured it out. You know, we've got in here. We've got the aggravated assault plus the altars to sack.
Yeah, both
the guys
and Ashnod's.
So that we can pay the cost and keep going if we're up high enough already. There is that Aura one, yes.
Yeah, we did talk about it. We said that's not really what the intent is. We do want to just kind of attack our opponents down and try to kill them in a more casual setting. We do have the one infinite combo that's obvious, the aggravated assault, but I don't think I want to play any like dedicated combo cards that we're not digging for, and that like most of the time won't do anything when they're in your hand unless you're going for the win. I mean, those are fine, but I definitely do. Yeah, the combat step is definitely something that's missing from Commander, I think, a lot these days. Usually it's one or two combat steps, the game is over, but I want to attack every turn. I want to get this guy out on turn 3 and just start jamming.
If anybody hasn't seen it yet, EDH Rec teamed up with another site to create this resource for explaining combos, which is really neat. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. This gives you all the pieces, the Otharri breath, and the roar resistance. So you can definitely do this thing. Yeah, it's cool for sure.
It's a really sweet combo. I'm not going to say it isn't. It's just not the way that we envision the deck for playing in mostly our group or against generally other casual players. But as of right now, I mean, I think we're looking at just cutting one card of this thing, and we got a pretty good list that will have opportunities to tweak and stuff like that.
You got one in particular. We're at 36 with MDFCs, 34 lands. That feels good to me. Is it just we're at 11 rocks? Do you want to go just down like a fractured power stone or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rocks.
I don't, because you know me, I like always playing every single artifact I possibly can to make mana. It's already on Moxfield, yeah, John. We're actually building it on here, and it's a public list. Right now, it's known as we titled it as the Sun's Rebels, which I thought was a little clever nickname at the beginning of the night. It's right on our Moxfield altar of the brew with an E.
And you can also create an altar of Rebel's face.
Yeah,
and make your own Rebel tokens.
Yeah, it'd be so sweet to have Rebel tokens. So, I think the one that sticks out to me as the one I least like is the Soul Guide Lantern, just because it's like a one-timer artifact. It's still really good. I mean, I don't want anybody to think that this card's not amazing. It's great, but the fact that it's just not repeatable makes it a little less enticing for me.
Yeah.
But let's go take a look at this curve and the mana, and I think we're a nice strong brew here. Some cool considering cards for people if they want to take a look at those. Feel free to give us suggestions too, even after the deck is built. Come back on here and chat us up. Say, hey, what do you guys think about this and this?
Moxfield even has a resource where you can interact. More like a social aspect. You can comment on people's things, ask them questions right on Moxfield. It's pretty cool.
I really like the curve on this bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Twos are heavy because
I always love this sentence. You have a 97.9% playing these spells on curve.
Yeah, playing on curve is great. I like playing above the curve, really. So I want to cast that commander. My dream is to have this thing at least by turn 4. That's why you play so many. I like playing so many rocks. This hand is no good. I would throw it back.
All right, let's do another hand out here.
This hand is mediocre. This hand is great. I love this hand. It's got 2 mana. It's got 2 rocks. It's got a removal spell. I like probably Perforos over the extra combat creature right in this hand if I had to put one away.
If you're in a mulligan.
Yeah, like this is a sweet hand. You need to draw 1 land to get to your commander. You got one of the big payoffs in Perforos. What does this say over here?
John saying pushing the comments on Mox Field on the show is good.
Yeah, it's just such a great tool to communicate with us, you know, and you don't have to do it through. I mean, don't get me wrong, the social media is fantastic, but like being able to just communicate with us directly right on the page and we just can respond back is just awesome.
I like this hand.
Yeah, this is a good hand.
We're going for another 7.
I love the protection. I like the card draw to help replace after you drop your protection spell and your ramp. Yeah. Again, totally serviceable hand. The aggravated stuff's kind of but
this would depend upon mana sources of your opponents.
But even so, like if it came down to it, you can get to the Arcane Signet on turn 2, and then you'll have at least one of your 2 colors that you need. Likely Exotic Orchard will produce the other one. You know, kind of payoff, an intangible virtue, protection, double strike. Yeah. I snap keep these hands like nobody's business. I know a lot of people would mulligan this hand, but to me, this is my favorite type of hand because your commander does all the work.
Yeah.
So this hand will get your commander out lightning. You're talking a turn 2 commander. So
with haste.
With haste. So turn 1, you're gonna go Command Tower, Soul Ring, Prismatic Lens. This is
D-Mock!
Hey, what's up?
Remember the guy we brewed with?
Yeah. That's awesome.
What's up, guy?
How you doing? Good to see you. Oh man, can you imagine cast this commander on turn 2 and attacking? All right, so your opponent just played a tapped land. Now I'm gonna play my commander, attack, hit you for 3, and then in a 2/2, and I have an experience counter. Go. Like it's just bonkers. Yeah, it's another great hand, I think.
Yeah.
Like that seems like it mulligans well because
turn
we kept
1 relic,
the stuff
turn
low.
2 Mind Stone.
Nut hand, yeah, totally.
I mean.
Yep. It's a good one. Got lands and Soul Ring. You can't really argue with that on a 5-mana commander. This is a good hand to discuss. I think this is actually a keep. It seems like it's not because it's very slow.
Yeah.
But this and we can argue about this. I love arguing about opening hands or discussing, not arguing. It's slow, and you're probably not going to get to your commander on curve or even above curve like I like to do. But you literally have some of your best tools in the game in this hand. You have both your colors. You have a removal spell, so it gives you time. And then you have Drumbeller as something to do, or Bloodline Pretender as something to do when you draw your 3rd mana. But you have this incredibly powerful Mondrak, and just having that in your opening hand gives you that payoff for the
Thanks
turn.
for stopping by, John.
Yeah, it's good to see you. This is awesome. And then basically you also have 2 Rebels in this hand, so you'll be able to protect your commander with one of those when it ultimately dies. Yes,
there's
not
your draw.
Not the best hand.
There's your draw.
Yeah. So you're starting to come out of it now. It's not like it's not fast hand. Yeah, it's a slam keep.
Keeping that.
Yeah, 100%. Likely keeping this, depending if the Felwar Stone can give you red.
Yeah.
You know, the Sun Titan's actually a little weaker in that hand. I don't like this one.
No.
I'd probably toss that back. Yeah, I like this hand a lot. I like this hand a whole. Whoa, my goodness! Yeah, I really dig it.
Yeah,
I'm happy with 2 lands and a rock. 2 lands, 2 rocks is great. 3 lands and a rock is pretty much the ultimate opening keep for me.
Yeah.
You know, just because I want to be able to hit my stuff on curve, and that gives you time to draw your 4th land to cast the commander and really get the ball rolling. Can't wait to play this. That's awesome. Yeah, this is a snap play for me. Removal spell and a ramp spell. I'm in it for 5 lands. This one's a bit harder, actually. What would you do?
Wow, yeah, because you don't really want to name white with Heraldic Banner, and you still have to draw into land. I'd probably throw that one back.
I'd toss this back for sure, yeah.
Get punished, get punished.
Oh, super punished.
Oh, super punished.
Mega
Yeah,
punished.
Don't do that one.
Yep, sneep.
Yep.
Sneep. Super keep.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, this is a good hand. You're short on red, but like get the protection down on turn 1, get the proliferate on 2, and then hope to draw out of it. What are you getting for your draws here? Red source.
Done. Did it.
Red source, we're in it.
All right. I think that's the list.
That's a sweet list. I really dig it.
All right. I think on that note, we are out of here. We got a little bit more sleep we need after this weekend to catch up.
Yeah, we had a great time.
It was great, having so much fun. I want to reiterate, Magic 30 was awesome. Getting to see everybody was awesome. more new friends, just some phenomenal people. Shout out everybody we had to hang out with. It was so much fun, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, and I really appreciate the community welcoming us with our little t-shirts on, our big t-shirts on,
Big t-shirts,
with just our logo on it, and we had the best time. And I just want to say I want to shout out to Scoop one more time. Just thanks for being so kind to me and being so wonderful and talking stuff out and attempting to cast Slicer like 5 times. So have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you next week. I'm gonna hit everybody with every rebel possible.